us through, I suppose, non-selection of Ollie. What did you want from him? What do you need from him? Why is he using tools?
I think the really critical part is we played really well as a team last week. Well, Ollie is a pretty important part of our team, no doubt about that. And but when the team plays as well as it does, we select the boys who did the job last week. Ollie knows that. Ollie's been a part of that in the past. He understands that. Does he? Would he much rather be playing? Yeah, he would.
How much of it comes down to fitness? Because I know that you will say that Ollie's obviously in your best 22, but he's not this week and available. So is there a fitness element?
No, there's not. No, it's not fitness. It's more around, as I said, it's more around. Ollie would probably be able to play somewhere near his best. I have no doubt about that. But I said, respectful of the team and the way we played last week, and the balance in the team was right. Some parts of the team didn't absolutely fly last week, but collectively we had a pretty strong performance.
So there's no room for the co-captain?
Not at the moment, because he's had an interrupted season.
But are you saying he's fit?
Yeah, he's absolutely fit.
If there's weather though, and Butters is a little bit sore tomorrow, is there still a chance he might make a late change?
Yeah, well, as we are now, we will be as selected, but if we need to, we'll make the change when we get to that point. And if that was the case, I'm sure Ollie'd be one of the first ones that we'd consider.
So you feel it could be too tall if we get a lot of rain in
No.
the next 24 hours?
No. It's quite amazing, isn't it? We were too tall last week because we're inside. This week we're too tall because it's outside and it's wet. We're picking a team that gives us the best chance to win, and that's what we've done again this week. We're lucky that our talls are quite mobile talls. I think everyone knows that. You see Todd play, see Charlie play, even Peter Laddams you seen play last week. They're not just dry track days that they can stand there and mark the ball. They actually get after the ball really well on the ground.
So does Ollie need the team to lose to get back in?
No.
How does he do it?
He gets a bit of luck. Unfortunately, someone else misses out because they've either been hurt. We'd much rather the team stay strong all the way through, and that makes Ollie frustrated a little bit. But let's not get confused, because I think you're trying to angle it that Ollie's not in our best 22. That's not quite right. I think
he is.
Yeah, well, that's where we think he is too. And he's had an interrupted season. If I go through it game by game with you, Theo, just so you understand it, he's played 9 games for the year. He come off a dislocated shoulder. He's broken his leg and he's broken his thumb. Is he perfectly primed to play? We would like to see him play, no doubt about that. But we're perhaps looking after him as much as we should.
So, who's, I suppose, in front of him? Who are those boys that he would need some luck with at the moment? Is it a Pepper and a Rockley?
I'm fascinated by your fascination around why Ollie's not playing, because he's coming off a long-term injury, and the likelihood is that he will be in our team sooner rather than later. But this game is a combative game, and injuries happen. That's probably what's going to happen in that case for Ollie to get back in the side.
I suppose the fascination is that you're saying he's fit and he's the co-captain, but there's no room for him.
Because of...
Yeah, that's my fascination. Is I understand that he's had an injury-interrupted season, but you're saying he's fully fit and he's playing, all things being equal.
And how many games has he played?
No, is that relevant if he's fit though?
Yeah, it's absolutely relevant. So if you're not understanding, I can't explain it any better. Sorry.
Have you sort of learned a lesson earlier in the season when you say brought him back straight away from injury after a run, without a run in the sample? So you sort of, and maybe with other players as well.
I would have no hesitation in playing Ollie tomorrow night. But the team played really well last week. I think that's what we've got to understand. The team played really well. So Ollie misses out. That's just a little bit of bad luck. It's not that he's not a great player, and it's not that he's not our joint captain. It's just the facts that the team played well. I think we represent the team more than the individual as best we can.
I suppose the same goes for Scotty then, really. The two rucking in front of him and just kept their spots.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But we want Scotty and we want Ollie and we want Kane Farrell and whoever else, Joey Atley, we want them all playing well, like Pete did, and playing that well that you have to give them a game.
Do you think it puts everyone, not on notice, but like it fills them with a bit of confidence that if they do their job, they'll be rewarded for getting on last week?
Absolutely. That's exactly what we hope, that we reward good form. And that's really important. If we can reward good form as often as we can, it makes this club much stronger, I think.
Burton looked pretty good out there on the sidelines. Is he a bit closer than perhaps he thought? Is he maybe only a week or two away?
Yeah, it's a hard one, Tom, but we expect that he'll close the gap pretty close to next week, but whether he gets up or not for next week, we'll have to wait and see.
If it's going to be wet tomorrow, can he...
Looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, do you talk to the boys about changing the way you're going to play in terms of what you've done previously in the wet this year? You haven't got the result.
Yeah, well, it's certainly that's certainly more on our radar. so to speak, is that we're aware that we haven't played our absolute best football a couple of times when it has been, wet, particularly at home. We've played well. If we go back to the West Coast game in Perth, which was a wet game as well, we played pretty well in that game. So we've been able to do it, but our last couple of games here, we haven't adjusted as quick as we needed to.
How does that look in simple terms?
Oh, it's pretty simple. You take territory when you can. You don't try and overuse the ball if that's an option for you. Our game's based around playing front half footy anyhow, so if we can get in there and lock it in there, we think we can do that pretty well. It's just a matter of then you're going to have to continually work at scoring because it's a really difficult day for scoring normally. So frustration from us has been that we're not a great or most effective scoring side. Last week was, we got some really good stuff going. When you play in wet conditions, you've just got to remain patient, I think, if you get the game in your half.
Have you changed the way you trained any of that stuff at all during the week?
We thought we might have, Max, but the weather wasn't very kind to us today. It was perfect out there, so we didn't get many opportunities to do. But Wednesday, we certainly, we adjusted with the balls as best we could, and we adjusted with game style as best we could. But it's really hard for players because when they're out there and they feel like it's not a need to take on, the wet conditions, they tend to play normal football. So our adjustment will be, hopefully, tomorrow, if it stays like this, we won't need to.
I don't know, dumb question off, but can you wet the footballs?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what we would do as best we can. But yes, on Wednesday, as I said, it was wet. The grass was wet enough anyhow. The balls were wet enough. It wasn't a big issue. Today was a little bit surprising when, I don't know about the rest of you, but overnight I heard a fair bit of rain and a fair bit of wind. I thought I was going to get here this morning. It's going to be pretty poor conditions, but it was perfect.
How do you manage that on game day, Ken? When do you sort of pull the trigger in terms of wanting to defend what Sydney are able to do, given a potentially low scoring affair, and then going aggressive yourselves and trying to keep a winning score? Yeah,
same thing. We just got to maintain patience, in that type of game. And Sydney will be the same. Both sides will have the same challenges. You'll get opportunities, you'll get frustrated by, but the conditions will make it more frustrating. But you just got to keep at it. And it's in games like this, they tend to come down to 4 quarters and a little bit of luck at some point.
Great result for you guys during the week with Toddy and Pete re-signing. Where does Pete's commitment to the club leave Paddy's future?
I wouldn't have thought it makes too big a difference. I mean, again, it's not my question to probably answer. It's probably more one for Paddy, perhaps, is where does he think? But I think Paddy, as I've said all along, Paddy's pretty keen to stay at Port Adelaide. I don't think there's any issue with that. It's just whether that works out for him and works out for the club. Again, they're list management decisions that a day before a game, they're not for me to worry about too much.
Good to understand what your thoughts on the two boys re-signing. Obviously, it's a bright future for both of them.
Yeah, fantastic. As I said, leading into Sydney, I'm really happy that they've done that Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever it was announced. But I'm just pleased now that they're focusing on the game they've got tomorrow, because I think everyone appreciates where we sit and we understand the importance of this game.
Do you see a big advantage of the ruck tomorrow, Ken, given that Sydney being without a specialist ruckman for a number of weeks?
Yeah, well, you hope so, but you've always got to get out there and do it, and that's the key. You don't always get what sometimes looks obvious. It doesn't quite work out that way. And as I said, if the conditions are the way they are, it will be a ground level game. It won't be so much what's going on with the hit-outs. There'll be a lot of opportunities for hit-outs, but you don't get real clean ball off that in tough conditions.
How dangerous do you think Sydney will be tomorrow? They're obviously not in finals contention, but how dangerous can teams like that sometimes be at the end of the season?
You've only got to look at their most recent form. We've got a great guide. We played the Giants. They played the Giants. It was 1 point us, 2 points them. So I think we understand what's coming. We understand what John and his team will be like. They've always been like that. They've been like that for as long as I can remember, the Sydney Swans. I've said this plenty of times about we respect that football club as much as any other football club in the competition, I reckon, because of the way they play, and we know what they're going to bring.
Is that when you beat them by a point, then, on that match?
It should do, shouldn't it? I'm not sure my heart would like to go down to a point, but right now, if you can give me a win, I'll take it right now for a point. But it's going to be a real challenge. But as I said, the closeness of the competition won't surprise anyone, and the conditions will make it probably even more of a slog.
Sorry to beat this drum. I'm not sure the club's won back-to-back games since round 6. Is that something you have to mention at all this week?
No, not really. I mean, our behaviours don't change. We'd just like to change the result, obviously, but our behaviours need to stay pretty same. Because they've been pretty consistent. We've had a couple of those games where as I said, we've nearly could have, but we haven't. So our challenge is to get it done, and that's with where we sit in the season, we've just got to get it done.
Is there anything you've been able to bottle from last week, pre-game, post-game, during the week, anything at all?
No, I think as a club we've been, as I said, we've had great belief. As much as the ups and downs have been coming, we've still being great in our belief of what we can and what we're capable of, Max, and you know, we just got to continually turn up and work hard to get the behaviours that we need to make sure that we win. And in a competition that's pretty tough, it's just what happens.
You saw it after Charlie last week, keeping him in the side.
Yep. Yeah, as I said, the collective last week, you know, and then let's not be silly. Charlie didn't have his greatest game last week individually, but we kicked 126 points, and that's a fantastic return to form for us in scoring ability. So Charlie, Paddy, Todd, Connor, Zach, Sam, Cam was out there as well. So all those forwards together collectively did a great job. And our mids, I think we went a little unsighted that our mids also hit the scoreboard, which makes you a good team. When your midfielders kicking goals, that makes your scoring much better.
Given the ladder position, Ken, given what's at stake, like you said, and how important I suppose the next few games are, how much more of an emphasis is there on making sure that you nail your team selection then?
Oh, I don't think there's any more. I mean, clearly you've got to nail that every week because you've got to give yourself the best chance to win. But for us, it's we've been changing a bit. I think maybe we'd like to be able to settle that down as best we can, but we can only settle that down when we get consistency of form. And at the moment, we're searching for that. Hopefully, I'm sitting here next week, and we've got the job done again against Sydney, and we're sitting here talking about the same players going out there because that's what we'd like to see.
What led to the great scoring last weekend? Did it change the method, or you talked about the efficiency all year, but was there something that changed, or conditions under the roof?
Yeah, well, clearly playing under the roof certainly helps a little bit. You know, a couple of times that we've had really good conditions, we've been able to score quite heavily. But I think the ability of the team to play a more composed game, particularly early, was really important for us. We, make no secret, Robbie Gray kicking a couple of pretty good goals from boundary lines, and Carl Amon kicking a couple of nice goal as well. Just accurate kicking makes a pretty big difference.